The following podcast may contain opinions that Grandmasters Gustafsson and Fressinet may wish to distance themselves from.
Yeah, no, I'm not too sure actually, because recently I surprised myself agreeing more than often with Peter actually.
We're off to a bad start, but let us begin anyway. Hi everybody, I'm Jan Gustafsson, I'm a chess grandmaster, and welcome to the first episode of the Chicken Chess Club podcast, where we discuss the chess world and what's been going on in it. I'm joined today by my two very dear friends. Guys, introduce yourselves instead of interrupting. I'm not doing everything here.
So I am French Grandmaster, as you can hear probably, Laurent Fressinet. And I have two great friends here. I'm very happy to be here with you, discussing chess news and being part of this Chicken Chess Club, even if I consider myself a part of Chicken Chess Club for so many years.
Excellent.
And I'm Peter Heine Nielsen. I'm a Danish Grandmaster, 48 years old, living in Lithuania. Haven't played a chess tournament for 8 to 9 years because I'm a chess coach. I'm working for Magnus Carlsen. I used to work for Anand. And I try to have opinions on anything in the chess world, and I'm happy to share them here.
Some would say too happy, but we're very happy that we have this opportunity to get together and talk to you guys. We spent quite a bit of time last year when we were working for Magnus on the match against Nepomniachtchi. We hung out in some fun training camps in Lithuania and Spain. Then Laurent and I were in Thailand for a month during the match. Peter was in Dubai. And we shamelessly will use that USP that we have, that hopefully we know what's happening with Magnus. Although, do we know, Peter, you're his head coach. You can tell us everything that he's doing, right?
I saw a picture on Twitter that he was on a Swiss student bar last night. So that's the current location. But that is basically news to me. But if we think more of his sporting career, I think he was playing the Norwegian Poker Championship recently in Dublin. So I thought we should maybe start discussing poker on a chess podcast. That seems very reasonable, right? But
actually, we already played poker in the team. I remember some game in Krakow when I busted your pocket kings with a beautiful straight.
Yeah,
I remember that.
That is true. Thanks for reminding me. But to sort of stay on the subject, I would say that as his coach, I would say playing a poker tournament, I think is just excellent training for him. This I have to say, I really approve of. Someone like Magnus, well, when he plays chess, he's always comfortable. He's the best player in the world. While playing a poker tournament, sort of that highly exposed, you can see his cards all the time. He's on the television table. It must actually be excellent training for nervous situations, in my opinion. What do you think?
You think he gets nervous playing a poker tournament? He's just hanging out? No, like I don't think it's the same feel like a chess tournament at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and but I think he's incredibly talented for games. And how long would it be for him to be a world-class player in poker? How long? I would be curious to see actually him trying some different games. I mean, I think it would be interesting to see, because he did incredibly well. But of course, it's only one tournament. But he has this focus and concentration, and okay.
So we just praise Magnus the whole podcast. That's what it's about. How did he do? Like, he made the money, right? 25th or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Out of more than 1,000 players, so.
No, that was a good result. I just Laurent got the direction somewhere I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay with the training perspective. I actually think that.
That's what the podcast is all about.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, what I want to say is that chess, it feels incredibly familiar, and he knows he's the best in the world. I mean, doing something that you are not the best at, always there is a risk you will look rather ridiculous at some point. And to do that on television, I think that puts some stress. I mean, well, for instance, we play a simul, it feels incredibly easy. But if you have to do some kind of lecture on a slightly unusual subject, I guess we would feel more nervous because we get out of our comfort zone. And I think playing poker like this is dragging him somewhat out of his comfort zone. But, you might disagree, but I think it's a great way of actually training stress for him.
I only do things that I'm excellent at, like podcasting. So I have no opinions on the matter. But it doesn't seem like he's playing much chess, is he? What's going on? He's playing this Champions Chess Tour, Norway Chess. Peter, any training, any tournaments planned? What's happening?
Well, I think he played Wijk already this year. Then he's won one or two. Maybe already he's won two online tournaments, right? That's free. And now, I think in the end of this month, there is the Masters event of the Magnus Chess Tour, which is, it's a on-location online tournament in a way. They're going to play in Oslo, as far as I understand.
You understood it right.
Yes, and then they will basically have 8 players. And, they are going to do it like an esport, that they are playing with computers, but in the same room and such. So, it depends if you count online chess as playing chess. But I think for Magnus it very much is. So, to say that he's not active, I think is somewhat wrong. But it depends on which focus you have, obviously. But I think he thinks that he's competing quite often. It's going to be his 4th tournament this year. And we're in the 4th month. It's quite some frequency. And, there's going to be Norway chess after that, yes.
All right. Laurent, I interrupted you, which I've never done before. I feel very sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to team up with you anyway, because it's clear that Peter is already annoyed at me. So let me ask something to Peter, actually, because you claim that poker is a nice way to train in a way. So what did you think about the bullet session he played before the match? You thought that was a good thing, or
compared to what? Maybe it's not ideal, but also I think it works for him. He gets into touch with chess and such. That's the way he does it. He gets some positive emotions. But
isn't he too good? Shouldn't he be in an uncomfortable situation where he's not used to for better training?
Not right before the match, no. Then he has to sort of ease in and build confidence. So I can see that's coming fire from two sides here. But no, I think that what he did before the match made a lot of sense. He actually tried to get his chess head working and such. And now, maybe he wants to try something else. And, he likes to compete and such. So that strikes me as quite reasonable. But again, it's very easy. He's the best in the world. He does what he pleases, and we have to praise it because it seems to work, right?
All right, then let's move on from Magnus. He'll be back in chess action soon in this Champions Chess Tour, and maybe tackle the broader, more serious topics. What's happening in the chess world? Obviously, the war in Ukraine dominates everything. Peter, have you been following the overall situation, obviously, by what's happening with FIDE, with Karjakin, with Dvorkovich? Where do you want to start?
Well, if I have to pick, I would start with Dvorkovich because Dvorkovich is also in an awkward spot, and there is rumors circulating about him at the moment. There is this guy called Leonid Nevslin. I think he's quite famous for, he was involved with the Yukos at some point, and I'm not sure what exactly his role is now, but he was having sort of an update on what happens in the top of Russian politics, and sort of he was giving updates on the status of Shoigu, the defense minister, who's actually also a member of the Russian Chess Federation board. But he was saying about Dvorkovich that first he was saying that a case is being prepared for against him in Russia. But then he said that Dvorkovich has actually managed to get out of the country together with his wife. No one has confirmed that, as far as I understand. And also then there was conflicting people saying that, the day after that, Dvorkovich had to go to a board meeting at a Moscow university. So his whereabouts and locations is somewhat unclear. And I'm talking about that there is rumors that the Russian states want to press charges at him or interrogate him. But there is also, at the same time yesterday, the Ukrainian Chess Federation published that they are filing a case, or Ukraine is filing a case both against Dvorkovich, against Karjakin, against Shipov, and actually forgot who the fourth person is. So, well, Dvorkovich is heavily squeezed from both sides at the moment, in a way. And I think just today I saw that he gave an interview commenting on the Karjakin situation, or rather, well, he said that he couldn't comment on it because that FIDE, there is an ongoing case and he can't comment on that. So I think Dvorkovich is trying to lie low at the moment, and even his whereabouts is quite unclear. But rumors are that he's in Dubai.
Just for context, Dvorkovich is the FIDE president, the president of the World Chess Federation, and he is, as far as I know, up for re-election soon. I read some article that your former boss Vishy Anand was also on his ticket in some yet unknown capacity. But yeah, as you mentioned, it must be a very, very weird spot for him as well in the current situation.
This is all very sad, of course. So, what do you think, guys? How it will end? Do you think Dvorkovich will be able, first of all, to participate in the election?
Frankly, I haven't given it much thought with the horrible situation and the atrocities that continue happening in Ukraine. I believe it's so hard to predict for anybody how it will go. I don't know his exact position, and I also don't know how the public opinion will be, no matter what his position, on having a Russian running the federation. I just have no clue. Peter is probably closer to it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I had different interviews from Dvorkovich, and it was a bit like he's giving, when it's in Europe or FIDE, has a different let's say speech than when it's in Russia, which sounds I don't know. It's of course a tricky situation for him, but sounds it cannot be like that forever. Basically, at some point he has to make a clear statement and say what he thinks. So it's pro Russia or pro Ukraine, basically.
Oh, I agree with Laurent there that English-based interviews are, well, for instance, he has said that his thoughts are with the civil population of Ukraine, and that of course has created reactions in Russia. But in Russian, he was also talking about a few days later about a world without Nazis, which in the current context is created to the Russian narrative about Ukraine and such in that sense. Well, I would say about the upcoming elections that everybody was expecting Dvorkovich to win on home ground in Moscow, and there doesn't really exist any kind of opposition in FIDE as far as I know. So Dvorkovich is expected to win more or less without a fight if we talk only in chess terms. But of course, the general situation in the world could change that. I mean, you could, for instance, expect sanctions where Russians are not allowed to hold higher positions in sports federations, and that would create some situation. I would expect that, at least from the rumors I have heard, that the FIDE's plan is then to, replace Dvorkovich with someone lower in rank, like, for instance, Nigel Short or something like that. But, as far as I understand, some such thing as an opposition within FIDE simply doesn't exist, and based on that, he's just expected to win a landslide victory. But the question, of course, is that if the rest of the chess world actually decides that we cannot have a Russian president, or if sanctions comes, that simply makes it illegal to have a Russian president of a sports federation. That, I think, is and that's gonna also be affected by the upcoming scenarios of the war and such.
What would you like to happen given the current situation?
You asking me?
Sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
well, I think that the chess needs to distance itself from Russia. There's no doubt about that. Dvorkovich himself have mentioned that well, at some point we was maybe at 95% funding from Russia, while now we are down to 80%. But well, I think it shouldn't be like that. So basically, well, I am in favor of changing the sort of the outview of chess to be Russia centered, to be, well, like, let's say Europe should be independent on Russian energy, so should the chess world be independent from Russian sponsorship and such at the moment. That I have no doubt, and that goes also with leadership. So that's what I would prefer, but at the moment the odds of that doesn't seem very promising as I see it.
Why are you not running?
Well, because it's a democracy.
I would support you.
Yeah, but well, thanks.
That's
nice. No, let's be serious. I mean, there is no sort of candidates coming forward or something like that at all. So
Yeah,
I haven't. Well, the point is there is even not names or anything like that circulating, as far as I understand. I have not heard any attempts of creating a new ticket. I don't know if you have heard anything. I mean, well, for instance, someone like Kasparov was willing to run 8 years ago, but that has not at all been mentioned this time, for instance. So
Yeah. I have no idea. I haven't heard anything serious about the new ticket / candidate. Yeah, Kasparov has been, of course, very, very outspoken, well, for years and years now about the situation. And I would guess that he has other things on his mind right now than running for FIDE presidency.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Kasparov is maybe always been a different league, but he especially is now. I mean, he's obviously extremely concerned about this situation, and also, well, I've apologized to Kasparov on Twitter. I will happily do it again here. I mean, Kasparov was screaming out warnings for the last many years. He published a book in 2015, for instance, Winter is Coming, and it's just seemed extreme at that point, and me and many others, well, didn't believe him and consider him very extreme. But if you read it now, it looks like incredibly spot on with his analysis of Putin and things to come and such, which is just it's a shocking read to do it now. I can only recommend that. But I think for Kasparov to limit himself to just running the chess world, I think he thinks much bigger things is at stake right now, and that's a very reasonable thing. And he's well, it's not like he's an opposition leader, but he is a very strong voice at the moment.
Yeah, with hindsight, it stands for, I guess, also a lot of things in the West that the opinions seem to be, yeah, we understand your guy Putin is up to no good, but how bad can it be? And he's been very serious about how bad it was gonna be for years and years. And yeah, it's just sad. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I think he started after he quit chess. So I mean, like basically, like from 15 years ago, he started to, I mean, to let's say, to tell. I mean, like what would happen with Putin? Like he said about it like 15 years ago. Okay, he wrote this book in like 7-8 years ago, but he was absolutely right. So he probably studied everything, and yeah, unfortunately.
No, he was involved with that. He was also demonstrating and even arrested at some point, like that.
Yeah,
and
that's
such,
true.
right? So,
Yeah.
no, but also you can see that the chess world has changed only very recently. I mean, well, we used to have Gazprom as a sponsor, for instance, and such, right? Rosatom as well at the World Championship, which is actually not that many months ago. The one giving the trophy is now under sanctions, for instance, and such, right? I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's half a year ago, or maybe 8 months ago, that Putin had a greeting on the FIDE webpage, for instance, and such, to all the nations. Well, these things are gonna change now, but well, a bit too late. Kasparov would probably point out.
Yeah. So one more question for Peter about FIDE. Of course, FIDE is his topic. So many claims on Twitter that Dvorkovich is the best FIDE president we ever had. What's your take on that? I mean, I don't have any. I mean, I'm following that from far, and okay, I have no opinion on that.
What are your parameters? Well, he has been good at, let's say, bringing in money, But, well, is it good for chess that we have been connected to Gazprom, Rosatom, Norilsk Nickel and such? Well, with hindsight, well, I think they have created a FIDE that has grown stronger but has been extremely dependent on Russian money. So, well, it depends. What is your parameters for being a good president?
My main parameter is transparency.
Yeah, well, that I understand. Well, I used to complain a lot about these things and such, but I think right now they are too small compared to what is happening, I would say. But no, I'm probably one of the few who will say that I don't think that they have done as well as people claim. That the normal talking point is that Dvorkovich has been an excellent president, but is a Russian and such. But, well, I think he might have done things that people appreciate because tournaments has been happening and such, but it has come at the expense of strengthening the ties between FIDE and Russia, and they were already strong before the beginning. So I think he has linked chess even closer to Russia, and that is going to change now.
It's also hard for me to judge or even wrap my head around these things. I don't know much. To me, what I've seen, Dvorkovich always seemed like a decent man, but ever since this invasion of Ukraine started, like, everything has become so strange, and I don't have any smart answers. Like, for example, I've been doing commentary with my friend for at least 20 years, Peter Svidler, who I think we know where he stands on all these things, but even working with Russians feels so strange now. I can't just say, what's happening in your life? Like, we know what's happening in his life, but can you talk about it? Mm-hmm. Then you also feel, is this really number one priority or is this really a thing one should worry about when, families, civilians, cities are being slaughtered and brutally destroyed in Ukraine, while in Germany we're evaluating and hesitating and talking about a EU solution and debating if our president should be welcome there instead of doing everything we can. It's all very, very sad. I'm sorry, I'm a bit off topic, I guess, but I want to get that on the record.
No, I generally agree with you that we tend to have it political. It would be more sense to talk also about, well, there's actually a lot of Ukrainian chess players who, well, has been in trouble in many ways. Well, one chess coach was killed, unfortunately. But, well, for instance, a few days ago, I think women's Grandmasters Gaponenko managed to get out of Kherson, right, and with her kids. So that is some piece of good news. And as far as I understand, former two-time European women's champion Natalia Shukova is still in Odessa, as far as I know. Well, and no, a lot of Ukrainian players has been in very tight spots and still are. And as far as I understand, it's also, well, bigger fights could be about to come. Right now, there's maybe some kind of standstill, right? But I mean, especially in this region that Gaponenko luckily managed to come out of, there seems to be things happening. So you can also argue it's we are debating the situation right now, but it can change dramatically in a couple of weeks. Basically, it has been changing constantly all the time. So we are just giving the picture right now, but things are about to develop.
No, it's all heartbreaking. There's always this whataboutism. There's other horrible things have been happening in the world. But of course, it also hits so much closer to home when it's people when you see the picture of the Ukrainian national coach standing there with a gun guarding some spot, like it's all, just terrible. I was in Berlin recently at the main station, and you see all these families arriving there with little kids and women, and it's just, it's just heartbreaking.
It felt that it couldn't happen, actually. I mean, that it was just impossible that the war times were over. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, I would never have guessed. I mean, like, and just now it's just so terrible, like something that feels unreal because we didn't think it was possible. I mean, I didn't think it was possible. Maybe
I was also naive about it until until it actually started. Like, it's probably. Dumb in hindsight.
I guess that was the general impression, although you could also argue that we are chess players who tries to think very logical, and if we don't see sense, we don't believe it's going to happen or something like that. But I mean, we thought it wouldn't happen, but it was not like United States were not telling people to run away and run fast from Ukraine in days leading up to it and such. And still, no one really thought that this is not going to happen and things like that. But no, there has been a lot of heartbreaking pictures of chess players. We also, I think, I forgot his name, but you see a grandmaster just lying in probably in a bomb shelter, as far as I remember, reading Dvorkovic's Endgame book and such. Right? There is a lot of people who has been trapped.
Also, as chess players, I'm not sure it's a problem. I sometimes think about that chess in a way makes you think that everyone will stick to the rules, and in life, in relationships, in business, in politics, whatever. Like, okay, that things operate to rules, but I never understand or never anticipate that someone could just ignore these rules, and that you can do that in real life sometimes with insane consequences like here. I'm not sure.
I quite agree with you that chess in a strange way is a gentleman's game, because the rules are very defined and we behave in a proper way, while in politics or especially in war there is simply no such thing as rules, and this I think feels very unfamiliar to us in that way.
Yeah. Before we move on, we have to talk. Karjakin goes without saying I disagree with everything he's been saying, and I found, well, especially these first tweets with the triple smileys about people getting killed there. Yeah, I found them hard to stomach. How do you feel about the decision to have him banned for, I think, 6 months and not playing in the candidates?
I will just say that of course I disagree with everything about what Karjakin said in the last couple of months, but it's very actually. It was a bit shocking to me, because it's okay. We knew that he was pro-Putin, but actually Sergey, when you meet him in real life, he's a very kind guy and always very correct as a chessboard. I never heard about any troubles. He played a match with Magnus. He showed great sportsmanship at the end of the match, even if he was probably the closest one to win the match actually. So he was probably very much disappointed. But I don't know what's wrong with him, and well, that's really disgusting. And well, about the ban, I think. Well, it seems that people in this committee was serious people, and even one is Johan Sigerman, who has been organizing this Sigerman tournament for many years. So I don't see him. He's a lawyer for, I guess, many years, and well, I don't see him toying with the rules and making it for his own pleasure. I think he just followed the laws. But let's see. I mean, I guess the Russian Federation, maybe Peter knows more about it. I guess the Russian Federation filed an appeal.
Yeah, the Russian Federation has made an appeal to the CAS, the sports court. Uh-huh. But, well, on Karjakin, Karjakin had this point of view for a long time. I don't know if you remember, in 2014 he was posing on a very famous place in Crimea quite soon after the annexation with a pro-Putin t-shirt and such. He had this kind of views, but Kasparov would be upset about it. The others would think it's a bit embarrassing, but we wouldn't really do anything about it, right? On Twitter I also wrote that, Karjakin is incredibly strong as a chess player, and also, as you said, in private can be very kind. But let's say he's not an intellectual. He's not like, for instance, Dubov, who will have complex worldviews or things like that and such. He's very simplistic in a way. So, I mean, I don't think it surprises anybody like this. And if we had to guess which Russian would do that, everybody would point to Karjakin. He has very much been the focal point of, let's say, Russian chess propaganda. Of course, there has been other players as well. Of course, Nepomniachtchi recently, when he was the challenger and such.
I wouldn't name him in the same sentence like that. I
sorry?
wouldn't name
No,
Nepomniachtchi in the same
they are
context.
different. I mean, Karjakin is much more extreme. It seems like the others maybe have done it to somewhat voluntarily, while Karjakin is going completely all in on these things. So that's very
I
different.
really think that's a different case. As for Karjakin, we all knew where he stands politically and his
Of course, that's
worldview,
what I
but
mean.
cheering when people are getting slaughtered to me is a different dimension.
Yeah. No, he's also gone even further than he has done before that we would expect for him. And I mean, a 6-month ban for me is a bit weird. If anything, well, I somewhat agree with what Dubov says. Well, I mean, if you actually punish someone for this, then 3 years sounds more normal. 6 months is a rather mild sentence in a way. But I understand that the 6 months. I mean, had the candidates been in 6 months and 3 days, I guess he wouldn't get a 6-month ban, for instance, and such. So, of course, it affects his sporting career quite.
But his sporting career is not that active as a chess player, and I think Magnus had that point that he wasn't sure, not sure if I'm quoting it right, if it made sense to make Karjakin a martyr. I also wasn't sure. I don't know what the rules are, but just as a PR stunt, I don't know. Either you disqualify him for a long time or you don't and show him that such a stance is not acceptable in the chess world. But yeah, topic is upsetting me. Let's move on. Yeah. So he's out of the candidates?
Yeah, but in a way he's not, I mean, like, he's disqualified because nobody will invite him again. So he can only play this FIDE stuff if he's not disqualified by this ban. But FIDE stuff, I mean, it's it's World Cup, it's some Grand Prix, and then if you manage, you have candidates. But yeah, it's not many tournaments, so his career is basically.
He's been seeing himself as mainly a chess player for a while. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
But I would, if we stayed a bit with it, I would think that Russia will try and help him. I also see that the recent development is that it seems that the Russian Chess Federation is applying to become a member of the Asian Chess Federation. And if they succeed that, they will be under less sanctions and maybe to play in that direction. It seems like, their focus is changing to Asia in that way and such. At least, they have actually filed an application to be moved from Europe to Asia. And but I agree that this is an upsetting subject. Maybe we should simply move on and then update what happens later if there is developments, which there certainly will be. Sure.
Yeah, so for now, Karjakin is out of the candidates tournament, which will happen in Madrid in, I don't have a sense of time, in like 2 months. Yep.
June. Starts 20th.
And therefore, one needs somebody else to step in. The rules have been confusing to me, at least. I think you needed to play 30 rated games until whatever was the end of April. And Liren, and then the highest rated player who qualifies makes it. The Chinese number one, Liren, who wasn't very active recently due to the pandemic. I'm also curious if you guys know exactly what's happening there, because other Chinese players have played in tournaments. Anyway, he's been on a mission to play these 30 games to be eligible for the candidates. He played this, a quadruple round-robin tournament where he scored like 10.5 out of 12 and 3.5 out of 4 against every one of his opponents, while the opponent drew all their games. Then he played a match against Wei Yi, a bunch of draws. He won the last game. And currently he's playing, the Asian qualifier?
Asian Games qualifier, yes.
Where he has 2 out of 3. Made a quick draw with white, somewhat surprisingly. Some Berlin exchange, everything. But how do we feel about Ding? Do we feel that there's something strange going on? To me, Ding is above questioning when it comes to... I don't think he's cheating. There's no track record there, and also the games I've seen look normal. But does this tournament look strange to you that they set up, or what's going on there?
And first of all, I'm a big Ding fan, I must say, and he fully deserves his spot in the candidates.
Sporting-wise,
just stating the obvious. But of course, these tournaments are a bit weird. But in a way, it was the only way for him to get to candidates. I regret a bit that Chinese Chess Federation, he couldn't play, so they could organize some tournaments like few months ago, maybe just in case. That would have been that would leave a better impression than these tournaments where Ding is playing. The others are making draws, one after another, basically. In the first tournament, they all made draws, except the game with Ding. But except other than that, I mean, I understand the Chinese Federation. Let's say if I would be in charge of the Chinese Chess Federation, I would obviously offer a chance to Ding to qualify for the candidates, because he's a great player. He has been unlucky. We remember he could play the last candidate, but it was in terrible conditions, so he had to spend. Because I think the problem for Ding that he lives in a province where you have to go to Beijing and stay there, some quarantine. So he has to, sometimes it's double quarantine, triple quarantine, I don't know, but it's very, very tough for him to travel. So the only, I wish we will see him in Madrid, but I regret a bit that, they should have organized some tournaments a few months ago, why not? The way it is done now, it's a bit weird, I would say. I'm not feeling exactly comfortable.
I would like to see you in charge of the Chinese Chess Federation. Wei Yi! Stop playing PlayStation. Study some endgames. Come on. What's going on there? Yeah, I could see that.
Anyway, I also want to add my 5 cents. Well, my story with Ding, if you remember, for the previous candidates tournament, Ding qualified by being number 2 in the World Cup behind Radjabov, losing the finals. But Ding would have qualified anyway by rating. And in the semi-final, he was playing his compatriot. I think it was Yu Yangyi. And
yes.
Of course, people were thinking that from a Chinese perspective, it would make a lot of sense if Ding lost this match. Mm-hmm. Because then there would be another Chinese player in the candidates, and Ding would qualify anyway on average rating. And I remember, for instance, at that point, I was chatting with Anish Giri, and he was a bit nervous about the situation because
you guys chat regularly?
If Ding would sorry?
You guys chat regularly?
Yeah, we were a pretty good friend at that point. We were chatting about things in the chess world and such. No, I mean, Ding just won the match. And, basically then you are above suspicions because, he could simply have chosen to bring another Chinese player into the candidates. And if you want to go complete conspiracy, you could do that, but get rewards from that later and such. But he actually knocked out a Chinese player so that Giri could get in the candidates instead. About the current situation, we have to remember that it didn't seem relevant for them to organize all these tournaments because there was no spot in the candidates for grabs. It was only because Karjakin is disqualified that this 30 game rule came into play and relevance. And, in my opinion, it's much, much worse making tournaments for someone who is behind in rating to catch up than someone who's clearly ahead in rating just have to fill the formal criteria of these games, number of games. Of course, Ding is winning rating as it is, I think. I haven't checked, but I think so.
Like 9 points
but that's not really the point. The point is that even if he lost 20 points, he would still qualify. I mean, he's not trying to cheat his way in because we all understand that he's strong enough, but he has to fill some kind of formal criteria in order to get there. It's like, everybody understands Gustafsson is a great coach, but to be able to teach at the Olympic, he still has to get a... No. Anyway, you have to get a FIDE license because that's the rules and such. And I think Ding is just trying to fill in the legal requirements but he obviously has the qualifications. And I think in this terms, it is fair.
So to sum up, we're more happy to have Ding, who deserves to be in the candidates, than the slightly bitter taste left by that first tournament. I guess is fair. Mm-hmm. Other players... Sorry.
Yeah, but the next one in the line was Aonian, so it feels a bit unfair to Aonian. And, Aonian would have deserved the spot for sure. Maybe a bit less than Ding, because Ding has been, I think he was the next, we expected him to be, maybe with Caruana, the next, one of the two, the big favorite for the last candidates. And actually, I felt before the previous candidates that it was Ding's turn. And he was so unlucky. I mean, everything was going against him. And he was not complaining at all. I mean, he's a very, very nice guy. And now he's taking a chance, and it's fair. I agree with Peter.
I also feel pity for Aronian, but I was rooting for Aronian in the last Grand Prix to qualify. He's a fantastic player who always has been part of the world elite, but somehow in the World Championship cycles has not really had the right moment at the right time and such. But it became Nakamura and Rapport, and I think they simply won the competition, which is fair and straight as far. So Aronian had his chances. Well, again, I would have loved to see him in the candidates, but it didn't turn out like that. And maybe that is our cue to talk a bit about Nakamura and Rapport, for instance.
Yeah, let's start with Richie. He's been an incredibly strong and unique player for a long time. Now it seems like he's stabilizing a bit as a top 10 member. Also, his openings look a lot more serious to opening nerds than they used to be. I'm not sure if it will make him lose some creativity, but overall it feels like he's just gotten stronger. Does he like playing chess? Like, I don't know well, but we're teammates in Baden-Baden. Usually, whenever I meet him, he says it's time for a break, enough chess, like I want to take half a year off. And also his interviews seem to say, I mean, he clearly loves the game, but he doesn't seem to be enjoying being a chess professional, no? The stress of chess, so to say. Or is that just his public persona? I can't really figure it out.
I think it's right. Actually, I know him, which is my boy. I know him quite well. I went to his home like 10 years ago to have some training. He was even my second in some tournament. Just the talent is just incredible. I was giving him some studies. He was solving them like in very, very fast. So this is obvious, and you had a good point that his repertoire just clearly improved. His opening repertoire, because you cannot go to these super tournaments with playing Chigorin or some crappy Spanish. I mean, it's very, very difficult.
Kramnik Fressinet,
so
Chigorin.
he used... Yeah, exactly. It was his recommendation, actually. So, yeah, I don't know what happens there. But the point that Richie used to love a lot, I mean, like chess, I remember 10 years ago. I mean, it was all day long he was checking chess, that's for sure. But now I think the stress and playing tournaments, I mean, we know. We know it's tough. We've been offering quick draws because it's tough. So, yeah, it's tough for everyone. And even we saw... Even Magnus is, of course, it's World Championship matches, but we saw him very nervous at times. So it's a lot of stress for everyone, and some people, it's tougher for some people. But I'm incredibly happy, and I guess in general the lineup for candidates is just brilliant. I mean, like with many young Rapport, Duda, very interesting players, and let's say Nakamura, Ding. I mean, these top players for decades. Mm-hmm. So it will be incredibly interesting to watch.
Yeah, agree on that. Nakamura, he didn't play chess for 2 years. He's become an tournament chess, I should say, incredibly successful streamer. And then he just comes back and qualifies from the Grand Prix. That's first of all, very, very impressive. Were you guys surprised?
Yes. Let me jump in ahead of Laurent here. Yeah,
Never.
I was very surprised there. Of course, I mean, I've been Magnus' second, and he had some difficult matches with Nakamura online and such, which he managed to, I mean, for instance, he managed to win the final of the previous tour, only 4-3, and I think in Armageddon in the last match and such. And Nakamura have been a tough opponent, but I don't think anyone expected it to hold up in classical chess after a 2-year break, and I would be surprised if Nakamura thought so as well. Also, we have to remember Nakamura was close to the top. I think he was even world number 2 at some point, but then basically he was drifting down before he became a streamer and such. So no, for me this is the most surprising chess result in quite a while. Also, I simply didn't think he has these ambitions. I think also he said that, well, he would much rather keep his 1 million followers on, I don't know which platform it was, than to become the world champion. Such that simply his focus seems to have changed, and that he actually managed to force himself into the candidates is very
If
surprising.
he wins the candidates, do you think Magnus could say no to a match against Nakamura? This has to happen, no? Like, Nakamura should have a shot at stopping Sora.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't like it. When people say, I come to the Grand Prix, I don't care. It's not important for me. I mean, come on. If you don't care, just stay home. I mean, like, of course he cares. He cares a lot about his chess. He's proud. I mean, that's 100%. I mean, anyone who has played against Nakamura or talked to him, clearly he's very proud about his chess. There is no doubt about that. So he cares. And he won't go to the candidates unprepared. That's for sure. But I agree with you. That was very impressive. Impressive result. Maybe it's Yanistan time after Nakamura, because this is a time of streamer.
That was the plan, but I looked into it. It seems like you had to be a decent chess player before you become a streamer, and then you can come back. But you don't become a decent chess player by being a streamer.
Oh. But also, this is we call it the Chicken Chess Podcast, the Chicken Chess Club. I mean, well, we talk about Rapport sort of being nervous, and we talk. Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and we talk about Nakamura trying to say, I don't really care. Well, it's all about talking expectations down.
Maybe he literally doesn't care.
Yeah, but, well, then he wouldn't show up, as Laurent says. Well,
he wouldn't play so well as well.
No, he wouldn't. Yeah. I think that it is all about talking expectations down, and of course they care to quite some extent. I mean... Well,
I don't know a single top player that plays a tournament and doesn't care. Like, even I care when I play a Bundesliga game. Like, who doesn't care when they play a tournament game?
Well, exactly. It's impossible to play chess for fun when you have.
I also don't think he said he doesn't care, or I don't know what he said. But to be unsure what to expect.
It's what he says in every second interview. I mean, like, it's just for fun, It's a lot of fun to play. Don't care about don't think about the result. Don't care about the result, which is. I mean, it's bad PR in my. I mean, maybe it's very good for him and his followers, and they think it's nice. But in general, I don't. I mean, like,
how many chess players hasn't sort of announced that they retired and just kept on playing, right? Yeah. I mean, it's quite a bunch.
Did you retire, Peter?
What?
Well, I tried to tell people I was retiring, but no one took me serious. But I actually haven't played a tournament in 9 years, I think. So I think I, for one, actually can argue that I'm retired. But.
Jan and myself, we didn't announce anything, but we just did it.
Thailand Open 2022. I do care a lot.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
So, no, but, well, also, I mean, a lot of things has happened in chess since Nakamura basically played a tournament. It's not like he has been part of, let's say, the neural network things and such. So this is quite surprising, I would say. I mean, that he actually managed to compete at this level really puzzles me, I would say.
Well, he did very well, though, in the Rapid against Magnus. I remember this match in 7 sets. They played like it was like 1.5 years ago. So he won like 3 out of 7, so which is quite an achievement against Magnus. I mean, not many people. I think he's the only one who beat Magnus so often. So he's incredibly good in Rapid, and Rapid is, let's say, closer to, in my opinion, closer to classical than to Blitz. So it's of course a surprise, I fully agree. But it was clear that he was still into chess, very much into chess.
Yeah, to my mind, he's always been an incredible player. When he had trouble in classical before he started playing less, obviously also because of the pandemic, it was usually against the very best with black, because his opening repertoire took some hits there now, especially in this Queen's Gambit declined. He got caught every now and then by the likes of FIDE and so on. And, well, I'm not sure if he's had that in the Grand Prix, but I'm also pretty sure that someone has told him about Lila and that it won't be hard. He clearly has the means to fix the technology gap if he wants to, if there was one. So I'm curious to see how he's going to fare.
I think also I wasn't allowed to say my opinion about Rapport, so I will mix it together with Nakamura here. But I mean, both, let's say, Rapport and Nakamura maybe suffered from not having that strong openings. And that's the good thing, that you can just improve that by getting better openings. And I think, as Jan is trying to say, because of Lila and such, it has become much easier to get good openings. And this actually the current time favors the best chess players, and Rapport and Nakamura has been pretty good at playing chess in the sense of not making blunders, exploiting blunders and such, while their opening understanding has perhaps not been too good. But that you get a lot of help with. I think that is quite a factor that they have so good results.
It's the tragedy of our chess career, no, Peter, that it seems to be that it's much harder to get good at chess when you have good openings than getting good openings when you're good at chess.
That's the brilliant point. If you have a good chess player with bad openings, you just fix it. While if you have us with good openings but not that good at chess, well, you do a podcast, right? So I mean, no, it's there is a reason that these two are doing well, I would say.
Behave. Talk for a second. No, but he kept this guy, Little John, no? I saw him again in Berlin. So picture, so the guy was claiming that he was working all the time. So guy is of course not very strong chess player. He's not, which was always weird, but he's a pro. I mean, he's a pro of computer, I think. That's what he said. That he came to the same result. He famously says that he has the same result than Kasparov, but faster. So that was very disrespectful, of course, towards Guy Kimovic. So I think his openings were okay in Berlin. It was fine. Yes, this guy working and seems to be.
It works for him.
It was not great, but I think it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
I went there in Berlin to the tournament. I was there for a day. Sun was shining. Was a nice little backyard. It felt very strange to be at a chess tournament. I didn't go in. I didn't see, or I went in once, but you can't go on stage. You can only watch from upstairs. I didn't see much of the players, but it seemed like everyone was happy. Also felt the mood to be actually back playing chess, having chess tournaments, having a place to go to. So yeah.
Well, Gitschuk was not. I mean, like Gitschuk was one of the few, of course. For Russians, it was very, very, very difficult, I guess, to play. And we'll come back to the topic. But Gitschuk, I mean, it was sad because Gitschuk he's a brilliant player, and he didn't get. I mean, like he was clearly not in the mood to play chess. Simply.
No, also our boy Dubov clearly hasn't been himself. With Grishuk, I guess you watched this press conference. I was so upset he got interrupted when he was trying to make this big point he wanted to make. Yeah, must be a tough situation. But as mentioned before, nowhere near as tough as to being in the Ukraine, being a Ukrainian runner. All right, I think we've gone through most of the big chess topics. There are a few smaller ones. Shout out to my countryman Matthias Blübaum, who became the European individual champion. The European Championship, usually it's seen more as a qualifier for the World Cup, so most of the best players that are already qualified for it don't participate. But it was still nice from a German perspective to win that title, so congrats to him.
You actually got a new German generation, is my impression, right?
Yeah, I think a bunch of the guys are looking good. Like Keimer, of course, a special, also did great in this Grand Prix where he played in Berlin. And then, for the others, we have Blübaum, Svane, Donchenko had a rough stretch recently, Kollars. It remains to be seen if they can cross that, what I call this typical strong German Grandmaster level around 2640, 2650, good openings, and make the next jump. But I'm optimistic that they can do it. It seems like stuff is happening there. They're not 13 years old.
Yeah, we played a bunch of European Championship, and he made, I think, +6. He started with 5 out of 5 or 6 out of 6. Well, in the end, it was +6, and we can all say that it's not really easy to get there. When you get to +4, you are already very, very happy. And generally, Jan and myself would sit on it because we would play together.
We're the Chicken Chess Club. When we had +4, like games would usually last not as long as before we had +4. No, like you try to make the first 22 it is to qualify for the World Cup, and to actually go in these tournaments to say, okay, I'm not just trying to qualify, but I'm gonna try to win it. Like it shows good attitude. Not something we endorse in the Chicken Chess Club.
Yeah, of course.
Other than that, I don't know what's been happening. They played this Open in Reykjavik, which was won by Pragnananda. Laurent, what's your take on the young Indian stars? Who's your favorite? Like Nihal, Erigaisi?
Erigaisi. Erigaisi. Yeah, I'm very impressed by Erigaisi. I mean, every time I'm looking at a game,
it was just
very impressive.
Unknown to at least most of us like a year ago, and now he just seems stronger than everybody and poised to be a world-class player. Very impressive.
Erigaisi, Sindarov, okay, he's not Indian, but no, just to name the few one, and of course, our French boy with the best of all of them, of course, Alireza will be in candidates, but I see these three guys. The future has for sure.
I want to ask you about Alireza actually, because Alireza, he hasn't played a chess tournament in I don't know half a year. What is he doing? Is he fine? Is he sitting in Chartres preparing? You can correct my French. That's your chance.
No, he went to the. you could see some picture on Instagram where he was in some island. I don't know where. Actually, I met him in Paris, and he told me like he was going for a week to holidays, and 3 weeks later he was still not back.
Living the life.
So he's enjoying life. I think enjoying life and also working a lot. That's for sure. I mean, the guy doesn't spend a day without working on chess. But he will play in Grandmasters soonish in Bucharest, start of May. So that will be some practice before candidates. But every time, I mean, like he's doing that. I mean, like before Grand Swiss and European Championship, he's doing a break of 3-4 months, and then he's coming back and crushing everything. I mean, like. Every time it's the same story. So I don't know, maybe it just works for him. And it's what Peter said at the start of the show. Yeah, whatever. I mean, with Magnus, it's the same. Yeah, I mean, whatever works for him, it's good. I mean, we have to praise it because it just works for the moment. And he's world number 2 or 3 at the moment. He's only 18.
Who is he working with? Do you know? It's a secret. Does he work by himself? Does he have like the finest French coaches? What's going on there?
No, I know. Yeah, he has a team. Yeah, I'm not going.
I thought he was showing up with Cheparinov at some place, right?
Yeah, he was in Norwich with Cheparinov. Yeah, that's true. But I think he has. I mean, the guy is clever, so he knows he needs a team to make it work. Simply, I mean, like some people like us has to click, has to space bar. Let's see in candidates. I don't know what's your opinion. I think he's a favorite already. I mean, like, he has 30%, I would say, something like around 30% chances to make it to the match. And that would, as far as I understood, that would keep Magnus into the game. So we have to root for Alireza.
Let's keep the big candidates Magnus prediction debate for another episode. Okay. But he probably does stand a chance. Either way, thank you so much for listening and making it through the first episode of the Chicken Chess Club podcast. I don't know how stuff works. I guess I should tell you to subscribe, listen to wherever podcasts are. We'll figure out all of this stuff down the stretch. But I like the idea of talking to you guys once a week about nonsense, and hopefully we'll keep it up. We will keep it up.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you so much for listening. Bye, Laurent.
Thank you. Bye-bye.